Why do we still feel for Macbeth even as he spirals into murder and madness? The magic lies not only in the plot but also in the use of powerful dramatic terms. Terms that shape the structure of the play: tragic heroes, fatal flaws, catharsis, soliloquies, and more. In today's video, we are going to break down 3 important dramatic terms that you need to know, especially if you're studying tragedies like Macbeth or Hamlet. So let's dive in. Let us begin with the term tragedy itself. What is a tragedy? Now, the term tragedy is broadly applied to literary and dramatic representations. It presents a serious action. For example, in Macbeth, we have seen that it shows the tragic downfall of a man who was otherwise courageous and respected by others. We have seen how right at the beginning of the play, Macbeth was fighting the rebels and how Scotland's autonomy was threatened. So these are all serious events. A tragedy is made up of such serious events. And what else happens in a tragedy? It ends in a disastrous consequence for the protagonist or the chief character. Now, in this respect, it is important to take into account the definition of tragedy by the Greek philosopher Aristotle. What did he say about tragedy? Let me read out the definition for you all. Aristotle defined tragedy as an imitation of an action that is serious. Now, it is an imitation of an action. It is interesting because it is imitating life. Such serious actions happen in reality. So, on stage, it is an imitation of life that is serious. It is made up of all serious events and also as having magnitude. And the incidents have some weightage. It is of serious nature. It is lofty. The topic is lofty. For example, if a writer or a playwright wishes to write a tragedy, he can choose his topic as the downfall of Lucifer, Archangel Lucifer, from heaven into the depths of hell. That is a lofty topic. He also adds, complete in itself, and tragedy cannot have an open end. Then the reaction of the audience would not be the same. So it cannot be open-ended, it should be complete in itself. Incidents arousing pity and fear. The incidents should be such that it arouses pity and fear in the audience, wherewith to accomplish the catharsis of such emotions. Catharsis means to be relieved of the emotions such as pity and fear by the end of the play. So Aristotle says that the play should so masterfully be composed that by the end of the play, the audience should be able to relieve the emotions of pity and fear. One example of tragedy that I will place that you all know about is Macbeth. Now, Macbeth, again, it follows certain classical rules, but again Shakespeare deviates in certain areas from the Greek philosopher's definition of tragedy. But more or less, we can find similarities with the definition laid down by Aristotle. We see that a noble warrior, a character like Macbeth, who is respected by everyone, even by the king, he possesses a fatal flaw which culminates into his suffering and death. And towards the end of the play, we see that the old order is restored. So this is what we understand by tragedy. I will give you examples from Macbeth itself because we are studying Macbeth. That is our focus. And how we can relate these terms to Macbeth is what we are trying to do in the video. Let us move on to the next key term. This particular term we have seen in the definition of tragedy as well. It is catharsis. What is catharsis? Catharsis is the emotional purification or cleansing of the emotion of fear and pity that the audience feels while watching a particular play. Now, in any good tragedy, it is essential to arrive at catharsis because throughout the play one witnesses scenes of suffering that may give rise to a sense of pity and fear, that should give rise to a sense of pity and fear. And towards the end of the play, there should be an emotional release, that emotional relief, that emotional cleansing of the feelings of pity and fear is known as catharsis. For example, right at the end of the play Macbeth, we see Macduff kills Macbeth. Audience feels a sense of relief. The audience feels the sense of relief on behalf of Macbeth as well, who was by the end of the play a broken man. And also, it was morally correct. Macduff was a morally higher character than Macbeth, and the killing of Macbeth restored the original order of things. So it was important for Macbeth to be slain by Macduff. So this sense of relief that the audience achieved towards the end of the play is known as catharsis. Now let us move on to the final term of our video today. It is the tragic hero. Now we again go back to Aristotle, what he had said about the tragic hero. What characteristics should we look for in a tragic hero? Aristotle says that the tragic hero will most effectively evoke a sense of pity and fear if the tragic hero is neither too good nor too bad. If a character is too good, almost godlike, the audience will not be able to relate to the character. If a character is completely evil, then also the audience will not be able to relate to the character. On the contrary, what do we find? Aristotle suggests that the character should be of slightly higher moral order. He should be noble in character, but not too noble. He should have certain flaws, but he should be above the ordinary worth. He should be above the ordinary folk. And when we witness the downfall of such a man, we as audience can relate. So this was his instruction. This particular character, who is also known as the tragic hero, he possesses a fatal flaw, and that brings about his downfall. This is the formula, this is the concept that Aristotle suggested should be there in a proper tragedy. In Macbeth, what do we see? In Macbeth, we see that Macbeth is courageous, he is a war hero, he is considered to be noble by all his peers, he is even respected by the king. However, in this regard, it is important to mention what Amish Abrams had said. Amish Abrams said that in Macbeth, Macbeth is not a quintessentially good, noble man with high moral values. He had ambition in him, and he says that he was an ambitious man who knowingly turns great gifts to evil purposes. And therefore, although he retains some of our sympathy, Amish Abrams says that though Macbeth is capable of retaining some of the sympathies of the audience by his courage and also self-insight, by his self-awareness, yet he deserves his destruction at the hands of his morally superior antagonists. But towards the end of the play, we see that Macbeth deserved to die, and he was slain by people who were morally above him, like Macduff. So we have come to the end of our video. We have discussed 3 important key dramatic topics, 3 important concepts. In our next video also, we will delve deeper into dramatic terms. It will help you sharpen your understanding and as well as boost your exam preparation. So please stay tuned. If you like my work, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell icon so that you don't miss any new updates from my channel. Thank you for watching. I will meet you all again in the next video.